Hey friends, welcome back to the ScrapbookPal YouTube channel. My name is Sophia and I am here on the ScrapbookPal channel today sharing with you how to make a card using these Altenews April Kiss Camellia layering die set. It's really cool. On the back it tells you exactly how you're supposed to layer those dies. I'm also going to be using the Happy Vibes stamp set by Pinkfresh Studios. And we're going to go and make a really nice fun card. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. The first thing I'm going to do is cut out all of my flowers using this vanilla cardstock. I'm going to do the flowers and all of the leaves that I'm going to need for my flowers as well. So I'm going to cut the first die out twice because you need it twice, and the second die I only cut it out once. For the coloring of my dies, I'm going to be using the Kitsch Flamingo ink by Distress Oxide, and I'm going to go ahead and start brushing some ink on. If I had a darker pink, I would have preferred to use that, but this is the only pink I had, and because I'm going to be putting it on maroon, I kind of thought it would be pretty if I left a little bit of white space on those petals and leaves. So I started by doing the center pink on the base, and then I realized that I needed the outsides to look really pink, and so on the rest of the dies, I'm going to be doing the outside of the petals pink and leaving the centers white, just to have a really nice contrast on that card. And then I'm just layering them on top of each other. On the back of the Altenew die, the die packaging, it tells you how you're supposed to layer those dies. To make it easy, I just took the numbers and made sure they were facing the correct way and started layering them on top of each other. So for my leaves, I've went ahead and used some Mowed lawn ink, and I'm just brushing that onto my leaves right now. I didn't really want to make them all green. I just started by making the base green and then leaving a little bit of white space on there too, just to make it look like a lighter green. I did go ahead and cover up all of the white spots just so it wouldn't look like they're white, but just a little bit more of a lighter green in the white areas. So now what I'm going to do is take the card base that I'm using this maroon color, and I'm going to use Altenew's Rustling Leaves embossing folder, and I'm just going to go ahead and run that entire thing through my die cut machine. So that's how it ended up looking. I felt like it needed a little bit more texture, so I just have some white acrylic paint on my block there. I'm gonna mix it up with some water and then just do some splatter all over that, just to bring the whiteness of the flowers and so it doesn't look so plain. I really like the way it looked, so I'm just gonna go ahead now and set this off to dry, just so it doesn't get any I don't get any paint anywhere else. And now we're just gonna start layering the flowers together. So I'm using my bone folder to kind of just lift those petals up, so it's gonna look like the flower is kind of coming off of the card, and I really liked that effect. So I ended up doing it to all the rest of the layers there, and it looked really nice. So once I have them, the petals lifted like that, I'm just gonna go ahead and put some glue, and I'm only putting it on the back, and then I'm making sure that those layer up. So see, I'm just turning that around so that the two's facing the correct way, and then layering that little hole on top of each other. And I'm gonna continue that with all the rest of the pieces of that flower. So just turning them to make sure that the 3 and the 4 are all facing the correct way before gluing them down. And I made sure to leave the centers of the flowers nice and light so that we have that contrast of the flower being pink and white. For the last pieces there, you just cover up the numbers. I think that's what they're for, and that's exactly what I did. And look how beautiful that looks. So I did the same thing with the second flower there, and I'm just showing you how I did the end of that flower because it is facing towards the right. And so you want to take those layering pieces and also make sure that they are facing towards the right. I just wanted to show that to you in the video. And that's the second flower. So this is how I'm gonna be laying out my card. That gold piece there is just a piece I had in my stash, and so I thought it'd look nice to layer underneath those flowers just to give it a little bit of more texture. I'm using big foam squares just on the centers of those flowers in the back because I do still need to layer those leaves all around the flowers, and so I wanted to leave space to kind of push them underneath. With my gold piece there, I'm just putting glue on the corners of the hexagon. And this was just some die cut that I had sitting in my drawer. And I was like, okay, this is gonna look really pretty against that maroon color. And so I had to include it on my card. So next I'm just placing my flowers how I want them to look and pushing them down right in the centers. And I think it just looks so beautiful. For my greeting, I ended up using the Sending Happy Vibes, and I used Catherine Pooler's gold ink for that, which I will link below in the description. If you want, you can head over to ScrapbookPal and purchase that because, wow, you don't have to do embossing or anything. You just stamp it in gold and it looks so great. So now I'm just taking my green petals and I didn't really plan out where I was going to put them. I did die cut a whole bunch of them so I would have options on how I want it to look. For this bottom one here, I'm really tucking it in far because I didn't want to take away from the flower, but I did need it to separate from that maroon card base there. So I stuck a couple in there and I ended up not using all of the leaves. What I'm going to do with the rest of the leaves is put it inside my card and maybe put a little flower inside just so that it matches up with the front of the card there. So I thought that looked really nice. And now I have a vanilla card base that I'm just taking out all of the creases there so it's nice and flat, and then folding it in half. You can score it in the middle, but I prefer to actually fold it just so that it folds properly and my there's never like an overlap of the card, because then sometimes you have to go and cut it off. So I'm using big dimensionals on that maroon piece because I kind of want it to lift up off of the card a bit. I didn't want it to sit so flat on there, so just putting some big dimensionals on there, making sure there's a dimensional everywhere, or a foam square, and then I'm gonna layer that on top of that vanilla card base there. So just make sure you center it properly before actually pushing it down. For myself, I find I always have to move it over to the left a little bit so that it's centered. And now for my greeting, I'm gonna put dimensionals on the sides and then glue on the inside. Sorry, I keep saying dimensionals because I used to be a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and theirs were always called dimensionals, but they are called foam squares, so sorry about that. So I'm putting on the foam squares and just some glue on the outer end there, the Tombow liquid glue, and I'm just gonna layer that a little bit on top of the flower, but the foam squares on the outside. I did end up putting 2 foam squares so that because the flowers were lifted up so high. And then I decided I wanted to add one more petal just in that area over there, again just to give it some separation from the greeting and the flower. And then I'm just showing you there the Catherine Pooler gold ink that I used for that greeting, and then I just cut it out. So the last thing I'm going to do is add some champagne colored rhinestones onto there just to bring out that gold greeting and the gold little hexagon that I have. And I'm going to put it on in a series of five champagne stones. and I thought that looked really nice. So there's my card for you guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please go to ScrapbookPal, subscribe to their YouTube channel, and check out all the rest of the designers that are making videos for them. We have some really great talent, and there's 2 videos here that you can check out. Thanks so much for joining me today, and have a great rest of your week. Bye.